I've been wearing barefoot shoes for over 2 years, and only recently did I invest in a pair of Luna Sandals. I bought these second-hand, so I just wanted to test them out. I don't know if they're the retro ones, I'm not sure exactly what model they are. Adjusting them was quite a pain in the ass. I wore them for a 20-kilometer hike and I just was fed up with them because I could not get them perfect. I love the sole, love the grip. And I've bought another set of Luna Sandals. Mono winged edition. My wife bought these and she wore hers on the hike where I was struggling, readjusting mine every 5 minutes, and she just walked the whole day, absolutely no problem. One of the main issues I had with this basic design Luna sandal was that if I didn't have this nice and tight against my heel, then it would just drop down. So I had to have it really nice and tight. Well, it was great on the flat. It was only when I took them to the Peak District, started going uphill, and my weight was doing this, and it was pulling back, and I was finding this big gap here, and my heel was hanging off the back. So I'd have to stop, tighten them up again, and it wouldn't last long before I was having the exact same issue. So let's take a look at the mono winged edition Luna sandals. Let's see if they're better. This was what really sold me on these. This is not dropping down, which means to keep that where it is, I'm not gonna have to tighten it right up against my heel. The sole is slightly different. On here, we've just got a single piece, and on my other ones, they're a bit thinner, but there's a different rubber on the bottom, which actually to me looks harder wearing. It looks better quality. The essential footbed is exactly the same. The grip design is slightly different, and like I've said, it's a slightly different material. This has a kind of foam bit, the same texture as this, and then it has this other rubber sole, which feels like it would be a lot more hard wearing. It says MegaGrip compound. So, you know, I would have liked to have seen that sole on this, but I'm not speaking from experience here, just from the way it looks, the way it feels better quality. Only time will tell just how hard wearing this is. But yeah, it feels a lot kind of more foam-like. This one says more flex. So maybe the emphasis on this one is more with flexibility, and with this one a bit more grip. I think the issue I was having with the other ones, and I'm guessing a lot of the issues with the other ones are what led to the design of these, was that, like I said, I'd be going uphill and this bit would just get slowly longer, because if I pull at this, it just pulls through. I'm assuming that this is almost like a locking mechanism, that once I have adjusted this, because it folds over itself, that's then not going to move. Even with lots of weight pulling backwards, that is going to be locked. Now I've just sized up the new sandal and it feels so much better than the old style one. If I put the old one on, I'll show you. So basically with this, I'd be putting my foot in, then trying to get the heel in the right place, pulling a bit of excess through here, getting it in the right position, tightening this up, moving it up so I've got this lock with some strap in front of my foot and behind my foot, so it shouldn't move around. With these, I'm not having to worry about this slipping down because it naturally holds itself in place. On the new ones, this is almost like a locking mechanism. Just pulling from here or from here, it's actually not going to move whatsoever, which is perfect for going up and down hill. Let's make it nice and loose so I can get this sized up how I want it. At this stage, it's just like a flip-flop. Where the genius of this design comes in is the way that it actually locks really nicely to your foot. So you can run, and you can run up and down hills and feel like you are barefoot. It's just giving you that minimal protection that's needed in case you stand on anything sharp. So I can cinch this down, tuck it in here, and there I have the perfect fit. Here it's not too tight, but not too loose. The same here. You can see there's some room for movement here. It's not as tight as I was having to have the other ones to make sure they wouldn't fall down. It's really, really comfortable. If I flex my foot, flex is with my foot. One thing I was a little bit concerned about was this bit here. I thought this might dig in, but so far it doesn't really feel, I don't even feel the contact. So this doesn't really feel like it's going to be an issue. I know on our hike, my wife got some, it was quite gravelly and stony and dusty. She got a little bit of kind of gravel in here, and it did kind of rub and cause her a bit of damage to the skin there. That seems to have been from the gravel kind of getting in between her foot and the buckle rather than from the buckle itself. It is plastic, but it's a very soft plastic, soft to the touch, doesn't really have any sharp edges on it. So there we have the Luna mono winged edition. Of course, I've got to actually test these out outdoors, so that's going to be the next step. One thing I'm definitely noticing is that my foot is wanting to go out to the side, leaving a gap here. And that's something I need to look at, whether it's making some more adjustments to this, maybe moving this to make more of a V shape rather than coming across at 90 degrees. What in the Halloween is all of this? Don't think I fancy venturing into this, but just so you can see how good the grip is on mud. To the side, you can see my foot, if my weight is over to the left, my foot is kind of traveling left on the shoe. It's still protected. Really testing this now. All my weight on this foot, pretty good. My weight's really far behind me, still gripping really, really well. Another thing I've noticed with these soles is that when running over any gravel, I'm not feeling a thing because there's really quite a lot of protection and cushioning there. As I sort of expected, this buckle, I do kind of feel the pressure there. It's not rubbing at all. I've done 2 kilometers, there's no rubbing, but it definitely could be an area of discomfort if I were to do, say, 20 kilometers. Okay, done 2.6 kilometers. Here are my thoughts. The buckle, that kind of locking system's working really well. I haven't had to stop to readjust whatsoever, which is exactly the issue I was having with the other ones and why I bought these, so that's super positive. 3.5 kilometers in, and I've worked up enough sweat on my feet to be able to comment on this. The kind of coating it's got, this kind of hexagon shaped coating, works really, really effectively at giving you grip even when your feet are a little bit sweaty. Again, there's still no rubbing under this buckle, but like I say, it is a sort of pressure point. I feel the contact at times when I'm running. So I just ran that 5k in 27 minutes and 40 seconds, obviously with the stops where I was recording a few bits, but it was a running pace rather than a kind of light jog pace. So I feel like I've given them a good test with the sort of cadence and the sort of pace that I would normally run a 5k at. So here's my honest review. The strapping system worked really well. I didn't have to stop to adjust them once. Obviously, with them being a sandal, you might get stones and things. I think I had like 1 stone, which considering the amount of gravel I was running on really isn't that bad, and it did just work its way back out. Obviously, you could just stop and shake it out. It's always going to be the case with sandals, but actually because they've got quite a lot of height, I felt that even on the gravel, you know, if they were thinner, then probably more would find its way in there. So that was actually a bonus of the height, as well as having that kind of cushiness when I was having to run on a bit of like the road by my house and a bit of concrete that kind of linked up to the path through the woods. The tread was really good, really grippy. Obviously I tested it on a bit of wet mud at this sort of angle and it gripped really, really well. Obviously I can only comment on how hard wearing it is over time, but I'm not seeing any kind of punctures or anything like that from the amount of gravel, so that's good. There were loads of sharp little stones and I walked on some like rocks and things like that. There's no visible damage, which is what you'd hope with the Vibram sole. I am feeling now, actually, I've got a bit of a blister on the underside of my second toe. I was going to call it the index toe. On my feet, my longer toe is the one next to the big toe, which is one of the issues I have with all running shoes, because you know, that's the toe that's pounding against the end of the shoe. It's one of the things that I found improved greatly with barefoot shoes, having that wider toe box, having that extra space at the end of the shoe. What I've got here is a bit more kind of a blister forming from the friction against this. So that's something that, you know, if I were to run another 15-20 kilometers now, that would probably become quite excruciating. But that's just maybe something with my foot, because that toe is longer than the rest. It's always problematic. As I mentioned, the grip with this kind of hexagonal coating was really, really good. Even when my feet were quite sweaty, they weren't really slipping. Oh, just put my finger in something. The kind of plastic locking buckle that I've mentioned, it was a pressure point. I'm looking now, there's absolutely no sign of rubbing on either of my feet, so that was really good. It was actually only on the right foot that I was feeling it, on the inside one. It didn't bother me at all with the left foot, so it might just be that I've got to adjust things a little bit more to get the same fit with the right foot that I've got with the left. If you're worried about how it feels to have a strap running between your toes, I mean, I'm quite used to wearing flip-flops, but even if you're not, I'd say it's not really an issue. The way it's kind of stitched in or attached in, it kind of folds in here, so it creates a kind of thinner bit of material, and it sits really nicely between the toes. It's a really nice bit of padding against the heel. Having used the ones that didn't have any padding, that made a really big difference, as well as obviously this not wanting to drop down. That was really good. So overall, I'm really pleased with these. My main intention really in buying the sandals was for hiking, was for going to the coast of Colombia this summer. I'm going to the Amazon as well, where I'm going to be testing out some Vivo Barefoot jungle boots, but I might wear these as well when I'm not kind of going through the areas where there might be snakes and leeches and things like that, just for kind of being around hostels. So I wanted something that would be barefoot for this summer for the Colombian trip. Going to the Amazon rainforest, I'm going to the Pacific coast, going to the Caribbean coast, going to be in some cities. I'm then going to be heading to Ecuador. Hiking was my main reason for buying these, so having done a 5K run, I'm thinking it was okay. I'd probably maybe reach for my ultras for a bit more comfort, a bit more protection, but I'll probably keep running shorter distances in these and go for something else if I'm trying to do like 15-20K. But for hiking, I think these are going to be absolutely perfect for what I want, and I would recommend them. Obviously it's very early days, so once I've tested them a bit more in Colombia and on a few hikes and maybe in some more mountainous terrain, I'll do another video. So subscribe for updates on these and on the Vivo Barefoot Jungle ESC and all the other review videos that I'm hoping to do in the coming months.